Imagine finding a video, maybe just scrolling on a phone. And at first, it has this weird, dark humor vibe. You might even nervously laugh.
Right.
But then it sinks in. This isn't some edgy joke. It's showing something truly awful, a really heartbreaking, brutal event.
Exactly. And we need to give a heads up here. We'll be talking about the specifics of that video later in this deep dive.
We do. Be warned, the details get graphic.
Yeah.
And the story itself, well, it ends in a really distressing way.
Yeah, this isn't just, analyzing another crime. It's really looking at how family bonds can just completely shatter, how violence can escalate to something, frankly, unimaginable.
That video it's a key piece, a really chilling piece of this whole puzzle.
It really is.
Okay, so to try and understand how things got to that point, let's look at the man involved here, Daniel Hulseth.
Okay.
He was born January 28, 1976 in Estacado, Oregon. Grew up on a farm.
Farm life. That often means, a really strong work ethic from a young age.
Right, exactly. And family was apparently very central, very close-knit. Everyone kind of chipped in.
It makes you think, doesn't it? How those early values like family loyalty, how they might have played out later on for him, or how they were tested.
That's a really interesting point, because in high school, Daniel seemed to have it all together. People described him as having this incredible energy, a great smile, just naturally drew people in.
Likeable kid.
Totally. And talented, too. Effortlessly good at piano. Drums, they apparently called him Drummer Dan. Plus, he was good with computers, technology, even back then. And yeah, handsome, athletic, the whole package, it sounds like.
Paints a picture, right? Bright future, loads of potential.
But life throws curveballs.
Always does.
Yeah. In 1994, his junior year, his father, who he was very close to, died suddenly. Brain aneurysm. Just gone.
Wow. That's devastating. Losing a parent, especially at that age, it's huge trauma.
Oh, absolutely. It forces you to face things you shouldn't have to yet. But, it says something about Daniel's character that he pushed through.
It really does. He kept going.
He did. Graduated in 95, went on to get a bachelor's in music, then actually a master's in business. This was in Salem, Oregon.
Okay, so education was important.
Seems so. And it was there he met Elizabeth Schwarak.
Oh.
She was described as, also very driven, gifted. She did some modeling work. People apparently saw them as this sort of beautiful Hollywood couple.
That kind of high-profile image, you wonder how much pressure comes with that.
Maybe so. They got married in 2001. By 2006, they had 3 young kids. 2 girls, 1 boy.
Busy household.
Yeah, and Daniel's IT company was doing really well. So, they decided to move the whole family to Las Vegas.
Big move for business.
Right. Everything seemed to be on the up and up. But then around 2010, the dynamic kind of shifted.
How so?
Elizabeth decided she wanted to run for Nevada State Senate.
Okay, politics, that's a demanding path.
Extremely intense campaigning, long hours, lots of time away. And Daniel, while still running his own, successful business, he stepped up, became the primary caregiver for the 3 kids.
Wow, that's a big adjustment. Supporting her ambition like that while juggling his own career and the kids, that shows commitment.
It does. And politically, it worked out for her. Her campaign was built around family values and wholesomeness and morality.
That specific platform, okay.
And she won, November 2010. Became the youngest woman ever elected to the Nevada legislature at the time. She was only 27.
Impressive.
And Daniel.
He was apparently her #1 cheerleader.
What?
Really supportive.
Right. But you said things started to fray.
Yeah. Despite the public success behind the scenes, Daniel started noticing Elizabeth seemed, maybe too close to someone else. A guy named Tiger Helgelian.
Tiger Helgelian, okay.
He was a former golf pro, kind of a rising political figure himself.
The classic scenario almost.
Yeah.
Politics, proximity.
Right. And Daniel saw something that worried him. He actually reached out to Tiger directly.
He did. What did he say?
Basically asked him to back off, leave his wife, his family alone. Direct approach. Did it work?
Apparently not. The contact continued. Then, October 2011, so less than a year after she was elected, Daniel found out Elizabeth and Tiger had been away together on an extended work trip, just the 2 of them.
Oh boy. That's usually when the penny drops.
Yeah. It seems like that's when the reality of an affair really hit Daniel hard.
I can only imagine.
So when Elizabeth got back, there was a huge argument. Heated. Daniel confronted her. Lots of yelling. But, and this seems important, reports say it didn't get physical.
No physical violence.
No. And apparently when Elizabeth told him to stop, he immediately did.
That detail, that he stopped when she said stop, even mid-argument.
Yeah.
That's significant. It suggests he wasn't out of control, respected that boundary.
It does seem that way, and it makes what happened next even more, well, confusing.
Oh, what was next?
In the days right after that fight, they actually went to church therapy together.
Oh, really? So an attempt to fix things.
It looked like it, but then, just 5 days after that argument, October 21st, Elizabeth went to the police. She accused Daniel of inappropriate touching during that fight.
Inappropriate touching?
Yeah.
After the argument where he stopped when she asked?
Yes. The legal charge was open and gross lewdness.
Okay, that sounds serious, but you said the argument wasn't physical.
Right. And what's crucial about that specific charge, open and gross lewdness, is that it often doesn't require physical proof. It can come down to one person's word against another's.
So it's a charge that's relatively easy to make, but hard to disprove.
Exactly. And incredibly, Daniel was arrested based on her accusation.
Just like that.
Just like that. And despite the lack of physical evidence, he was actually found guilty.
Wow. What was the sentence?
6 months probation, mandatory anger management classes, and he had to register as a sex offender.
A sex offender.
Right.
Based on that accusation, that's life-altering.
Hugely. Almost immediately after that verdict, Daniel filed for divorce.
Understandable.
And given Elizabeth's public profile, the state senator elected on family values.
Oh, this must have blown up publicly.
It did.
Yeah.
The divorce, especially the fight over child custody, was very public, very messy.
The custody battle, with him now having that conviction.
Exactly. It put him at a huge disadvantage. And the pressure on Elizabeth must have been immense, too.
Professionally, politically.
Yeah. She ended up being forced to resign from the Senate in February 2012.
Okay, so she lost her seat.
Yes.
Yeah.
The divorce was finalized later that year. And Daniel, despite having been the main parent while she campaigned and served...
He didn't get custody.
No. Denied custody. Almost certainly because of the sex offender status.
Oh, such brutal.
And then Elizabeth moved, took the 3 kids to Alaska.
Alaska, wow.
Yeah. And she went with Tiger Helgilium.
The man Daniel suspected her of having the affair with.
The same one. They got married soon after moving there.
So Daniel loses his wife, his reputation, his kids, and they move across the continent with the other guy. That's just devastating.
Unimaginable, being separated from his kids, his 3 little angels, as he called them. Heartbreak doesn't even cover it.
How did he cope with that?
Well, again, that resilience seemed to kick in. He focused on his IT business, kept trying to see his children whenever he could, even though the relationship with Elizabeth made it incredibly difficult.
Must have been so strained.
No doubt. He did get married again to a woman named Bogdana, and for a time it seemed like maybe he was finding some stability, rebuilding.
A fresh start, maybe.
Yeah. If you looked at his social media back then, it was mostly positive. Lots of posts about his kids, how much he loved them.
The social media front. Sometimes that doesn't tell the whole story.
No, it often doesn't, because in 2019, that second marriage ended too. Divorce from Bogdana. And friends said you could see the sadness behind the smile in photos, despite him trying to stay positive online.
Another blow. It sounds like he was carrying a lot.
He was. Then something unexpected happened in 2020. Elizabeth and the kids moved back to Las Vegas.
Back. Why?
Not for a reconciliation, apparently. Just.
Yeah.
They preferred living in Vegas over Alaska.
Okay. But that meant?
It meant Daniel could suddenly see his children regularly again.
Oh, wow. After all that distance and difficulty, that must have been huge for him.
Immense joy, by all accounts. But it also maybe reignited some old conflicts. By late 2020, his youngest daughter, Sierra, she was 16, then she essentially moved in with Daniel.
Moved in with him?
Yeah.
Against her mother's wishes?
Yes. Which led to Daniel going back to court in August 2020.
Another custody battle.
This time just for Sierra, as she was the only child still legally a minor.
Right. What was his argument?
He claimed Elizabeth's home environment was totally toxic, said Sierra was struggling with her mental health, that he'd gotten her into therapy. He even submitted a letter, supposedly written by Sierra, saying she wanted to live with him.
And Elizabeth's response?
She fired back, called Daniel a liar, said he was unfit, and even questioned if Sierra had really written that letter herself.
Just back and forth, more conflict.
Exactly. Reports say the judge was getting really frustrated with them, pointed out how damaging this constant fighting was for the children, especially Sierra, caught right in the middle.
Yeah, the poor kid.
Well, in early 2021, the judge made a ruling, ordered Daniel to return Sierra to Elizabeth's custody.
Okay, so Sierra had to go back.
That was the order. But that very same night, Sierra snuck out of her mom's house and went straight back to Daniel's.
Wow. Just defied the court order immediately.
She did, And the custody fight just dragged on for months after that. Sierra stayed with Daniel against the judge's ruling, against her mother's pleas.
What a mess. Just layers of conflict.
And then, April 8th, 2021, things took a very, very dark turn.
Okay. What happened?
Several $100s were withdrawn from a bank account Daniel still shared with his second ex-wife, Bogdana, used at ATMs around Las Vegas.
An account they still share,
Okay.
but the withdrawals.
They were flagged as potentially fraudulent. Bogdana got the alerts, knew she hadn't taken the money out.
Right. So she tries to contact Daniel.
Yep. Calls, texts, no answer. Which was unusual. They apparently spoke daily, so she got worried.
Understandable.
She reached out to Daniel's mother, Christine.
Okay, his mom gets involved.
Christine tries calling Daniel too. Nothing. Then she tries texting Sierra. Gets a reply, but it's delayed and kind of vague.
What did it say?
Something like, his phone has been acting up, but he's okay. It should be fixed by tomorrow night. No worries.
That doesn't sound quite right, does it? Bit too casual, maybe.
It didn't sit right with Christine at all. Raised some definite alarm bells.
Yeah, I bet.
So the next day, April 9th, still no word from Daniel. Christine texts Sierra again. This time she's more direct, says, I need to speak to your father.
Pushing for contact.
And Sierra texts back, my dad's in the shower, so we can't talk right now.
The shower excuse. Okay, now Christine must be really alarmed.
Absolutely. Her worry just spikes. She calls Peggy Newman, Daniel's landlord, but also a friend, asks if she can go check on him, a welfare check. Peggy couldn't go right away.
So more waiting. The anxiety must be building.
Terribly. Finally, around 1:46 p.m. that day. So Daniel's been unreachable for about 2 days. Work hasn't heard from him. Family can't reach him. Christine calls 911.
She called the police.
Yes. Requested a welfare check. Explained her son was missing. This was totally unlike him.
Good for her. Trusting her gut.
Definitely. And just minutes after she made that call, before the police got there, Peggy Newman, the landlord, arrived with a friend.
Okay, they got there first. What did they find?
First thing they noticed, Daniel's car, his blue Nissan Altima, wasn't in the driveway.
Car's gone. Okay.
Then they found the front door was unlocked.
Unlocked. That's not usually a good sign.
No. Peggy and her friend went inside, and whatever they saw, they ran right back out. Immediately. Peggy called 911 herself, frantically trying to describe it.
Oh my God. So they saw something horrific.
Clearly. And the police investigation started piecing things together. They found surveillance footage from the day before, April 8th.
The day the money was withdrawn.
Exactly. It showed a young man and a young woman using Daniel's debit card at those ATMs.
Ah, so they knew who took the money.
And then the footage showed them shopping at a Winco store, buying things like disposable gloves, bleach, drop cloths.
Gloves.
Bleach.
That sounds ominous.
Very. Then footage from Home Depot, buying a circular saw blades, lighter fluid.
Oh no. Circular saw, lighter fluid. This is planning something terrible.
It looks that way. The footage then shows the same man and woman going to Daniel's house and staying the night.
They stayed there after buying all that.
Yes. And then Daniel's car, the blue Altima, was seen leaving Las Vegas around 10:20 the next morning, April 9th.
The morning Sierra texted her grandmother about the shower.
Precisely. So when the police officers finally arrived at Daniel's house after Peggy's 911 call, they found Peggy and her friend just totally ashen-faced and pacing.
I can't even imagine what they were feeling.
The officers went inside, and they saw the same horrible thing that Peggy had seen, something that, as they put it, just didn't add up.
Didn't add up. What did they mean? It sounds like they found him.
They found Daniel, but the scene was complex and disturbing. Then a few days later, April 13th, police way up in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Salt Lake. Okay.
They encountered a young man and woman from that Las Vegas surveillance footage. They were on a public bus.
They found them. How?
Bit of chance, actually. The young man apparently tried to skip paying the bus fare. When the transit authority got his name, it flagged an alert from Las Vegas PD who were looking for them.
Wow. Caught over bus fare? And do they have anything on them?
They did. They had phones. And on one of those phones, police found a video. A video that, well, it explained everything. Horrifically.
The video the police found.
What did you...
It's short. And it's chilling. The transcript basically goes, well, welcome back to our YouTube channel, day 3 after murdering somebody. Then one voice says, whoa, don't put that on the camera. And the first voice replies, it was worth it.
Oh my God. Day 3 after murdering somebody, it was worth it. A confession? Recorded like a vlog?
Essentially, yes. And the people in that video identified as 18-year-old Aaron Guerrero.
Sierra's boyfriend.
Yes. And 16-year-old Sierra Halseth.
Daniel's daughter. His youngest daughter. made a video confessing.
Confessing to murdering her own father? It's almost unbelievable. So the police timeline suggests Aaron and Sierra, after the ATM withdrawals and buying those supplies on April 8th, they went to Daniel's house.
That's the allegation. They went there. And, you have to think, Daniel loved his kids deeply. He trusted them, especially Sierra, who he'd fought so hard to have live with him.
He wouldn't have suspected a thing. He would have been completely vulnerable.
Completely. The level of betrayal is just staggering.
What did the investigation reveal happened inside?
The details are brutal. Daniel was stabbed up to 70 times, mostly to the back of the head.
70 times.
Then he was put inside a sleeping bag, doused with lighter fluid, and set on fire right there in his living room.
Oh, God. Burned.
It's unclear how long he was conscious or if he knew exactly what was happening at the end, but the possibility that he realized Sierra was involved, it's just horrific to contemplate.
Unbearable.
They found pocket knives tossed in the sink, and evidence suggested Aaron and Sierra had tried to dismember Daniel's body with the circular saw they bought and apparently a chainsaw, too.
They tried to cut him up.
It seems they tried, but weren't successful. They left the saws there with his remains.
Just left him there.
Yes. They tried using the bleach, presumably to clean up or destroy evidence, but it wasn't effective. Their next idea, apparently, was to just burn the whole house down.
To cover everything up.
Right. Which fits with Sierra texting her grandmother that Daniel was in the shower around the time the car was seen leaving. Maybe that was when they tried to start the larger fire.
Could be. Did the house burn down?
No, the fire they set on Daniel's body in the sleeping bag, it eventually just smoldered out on its own, didn't engulf the house.
So they just left.
They left everything. The knives, the saws, the bleach attempts. And Daniel's body burned, propped up against the garage door inside the house. They just left it all and fled in his car around 10:20 that morning.
Propped against the garage door. The callousness is... There are no words.
None. They drove to Salt Lake City, where they were caught a few days later because Aaron didn't want to pay bus fare.
And Sierra's motive. Why would she do this to her father? The father she seemingly chose to live with.
It's still not entirely clear, but the timing, it strongly suggests her anger over the court ordering her back to her mother's, separating her from Aaron, was a major factor. That seems to be the prevailing theory.
Retaliation against her father for the custody outcome. By murdering him.
It seems unthinkable, but that's what the evidence points towards. It's telling that in Daniel's obituary, his family didn't mention Sierra. It said he was survived by 2 loving children.
Wow. That speaks volumes about the family's pain and feelings towards her now.
Absolutely. They've publicly stated they hope Aaron and Sierra receive the harshest possible penalties.
Have they gone to trial?
They've both pleaded not guilty. Despite that video confession, they are currently awaiting trial.
Pled not guilty after recording themselves saying it was worth it.
Yes. The legal process continues.
It's just the whole story. You start with this picture of a loving father, someone resilient, someone who adored his kids.
Yeah, the Daniel described by friends and family early on.
And you end with this act of unimaginable brutality, apparently committed by his own daughter and her boyfriend. The contrast is sickening.
It really is. And that video confession, the casual tone, the lack of remorse, it's profoundly disturbing. Makes your skin crawl.
It does. And it leaves so many questions about Sierra's actual motive, about the family dynamics that led to such a breakdown, about what was really going on in her head.
We may never fully understand it.
Probably not. But what really sticks with you, I think, is how this case just rips open the darkest possibilities within family relationships. We think of family as safety, as love.
Right, the ultimate bond.
But this shows how that very closeness, that trust, can be exploited in the most horrific way. It forces you to think about the devastating ripple effects of such extreme violence, not just on the victim, but on everyone left behind. And it makes you wonder, what truly drives someone to commit such an act against their own parent? It's a question that lingers long after you hear the facts.